What's up, Story District? We got any mystery fans in the house tonight? No way. I'm a mystery fan too. I've always been a fan of mysteries. Growing up, I'd watch the Hardy Boys on TV. I'd read Encyclopedia Brown books from cover to cover, and I loved playing the board game Clue. And when I say playing the board game Clue, I mean sitting on the floor of my bedroom for hours, staring at the Miss Scarlet card, wondering what those strange feelings were going on in my pants. Oh, Miss Scarlet. What was her story? And when will she kill again? I still love a good mystery, especially when it comes to the women that I date. But when I started online dating a few years ago, I quickly discovered that the mystery and intrigue that accompanies newfound romance had all but disappeared from courtship. I mean, seriously, ladies, do I need to know your Myers-Briggs score before we go on a first date? I mean, call me old-fashioned, but leave a little something to the imagination. I was just about ready to stop that whole online dating thing when I came across her profile. Her username was Naomi, and her poorly written, partially incomplete profile was woefully short on details. And her profile photo, it intrigued me. You see, in a sea of selfies at Machu Picchu and carefully manicured paddleboard yoga shots, her photo really stood out. It appeared by its composition and structure to have been taken by a small dog. And the look on her face radiated all the puzzlement and joy of someone who was thinking, wow, I didn't know your dog could take pictures. I immediately fired off a note to Naomi. Hours, days, weeks went by with no response until one day, Naomi wrote me back. A brief correspondence ensued, and we agreed to meet for a first date. Hello, are you Pierce? I am Naomi. She had the face of a model, the body of a dancer, and this really strange accent that I put in place. And we spent the evening chatting, and I interrogated her like she was the prime suspect in a murder mystery. But she proved to be a worthy adversary. Naomi, where did you grow up? Don't ask me about my past. Naomi, are you close with your parents? Never ask me about my parents. Naomi, how long have you been in D.C.? Been in D.C.? You mean trapped in D.C.? As our first date came to a close, I still knew practically nothing about this woman except three things. She owned a condo in the building directly across the street from where I lived. She had no career, no job, or discernible means of income. And she was half Japanese and half German. English was not her first language. She was a mystery to me. And she made me feel like I felt when I looked at that Miss Scarlet card back in the day. I wanted to see her again. Much to my surprise, Naomi wanted to plan our next date. We should wait until nightfall and ride our rocks into Rock Creek Park. We can find a clearing, build a fire, and make s'mores. In all honesty, I am absolutely terrified of riding a bike in the city at any time of day. And yet there I was, descending into a pitch black Rock Creek Park in pursuit of this mysterious woman I knew practically nothing about. No lights on my bike, no helmet upon my head. That night, I enjoyed some of the most delicious s'mores I ever tasted. I knew things were getting very, very serious when she invited me over to her place. I want you to taste my puttanesca, she said. I had no idea what a puttanesca was, but damn sure I said yes. And I was shocked as I set foot in Naomi's apartment for the first time. From the foyer, I spied a rather Spartan bedroom with nothing but a futon placed in the center of the floor. Directly across from me, out on her balcony, there was a lone, topsy-turvy tomato planter with no tomatoes. But it was her living room that absolutely shocked me. Her living room bore all the trappings of an art gallery from a bad 1980s film. From the horrible paintings that were hung all over the walls to the sculptures that had been haphazardly placed across the room. As we finished our puttanesca, it's a pasta dish, a rather gleeful Naomi perked up and said, "I want to tell you a secret. I am starting my own business. I am going to sell sex toys to wealthy women. Would you like to see them?" She ran to her Spartan bedroom, emerging with a solid glass dildo. It looked like a cross between a toilet plunger handle and a chandelier. She says, "This is our signature model. They will come in crushed velvet boxes, just like Tiffany's, no? Rich women will love these." As Naomi slept soundly next to me that night, I lay on the most uncomfortable futon ever made, staring at the ceiling, wondering who this mysterious and strange woman was sleeping beside me. I wanted her, and I wanted to be with her. A few days later, Naomi presented me with a rather interesting proposition. Would you like to be my date to a wedding?" Naturally, I said yes. "Very good. It's in 2 weeks, and it's in France, and you will need to make all the arrangements." I bought the plane tickets, I booked a hotel room, and I started counting down the days to France. And then Naomi inexplicably disappeared. She vanished without a trace, reemerging 2 days before we were set to depart for France. "Are we still going to France, Naomi?" I inquired. "Yes, of course. Why wouldn't we be going to France? But there are 2 things I need to tell you. I will need to get high as soon as we get to Paris, so I will be bringing drugs with me. Also, I have decided to move to Berlin." Moving to Berlin, smuggling drugs into Europe? This was insanity. Or maybe this was just a test of my affection. If I was going to solve the mystery that was Naomi, I was going to have to stick with the original plan. I was going to throw caution to the wind. I was going to France. Naomi breezed through airport security, didn't say a word on the flight, and smiled as she made her way through French customs. I was completely confused and completely exhausted. We made our way to Paris, checked into the hotel, made our way to the hotel room, and without missing a beat, Naomi made a beeline right for the bathroom, locking the door behind her. "I'm going to take a bath," she said. Naomi spent the whole time we were in Paris together locked in that bathroom. And truthfully, I don't remember very much about that wedding. I know this much. I flew back to the States, and she stayed in Europe with as much as a goodbye. When I got back, I spent some time hanging out on the front stoop of my building, staring across at Naomi's building, wondering what the clues were that I might have missed. A few days later, I noticed a series of delivery vans stopping in front of her building. And later that night, I heard about a series of thefts at art galleries all over Europe. I got up, I ran to my computer, and I pulled up Naomi's still active online dating profile, looking for some sort of clue or explanation. I made it all the way down to that part in profile that says, "You should message me if." I read it, and then I read it again out loud. "You should message me if you're a fan of modern art, if you like to travel, and if you're looking for a partner in crime to spend the rest of your life with." maybe Naomi wasn't such a mystery after all. Thanks, everybody.
Never